Through authentic dialogues and insightful discussions, we aim to unlock these treasures, one story at a time. So, whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. Get ready to be challenged, inspired, and transformed. And now, to guide you through this journey of discovery, please welcome your host, a visionary leader and a true catalyst for change, Dwayne Dwyer, but we affectionately know him as the Mindset Coach.
Good evening, family. Good Friday evening. Man, I am excited as always to be here with you, family. It's good to see everybody in the chats already getting started, getting live, going live. We love it. And I'm happy to be here beside my brother. How you doing this evening, Coach?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. As always, excited on every Friday night to be here, to sharing conversation with you. And again, the live is social media, the live is comment section in social media. So yeah, man, always good to be on a Friday evening. How about you?
Always. I'm loving it. Hey, listen, so y'all know who I am. I am the son of Timothy, also known as the Available Man. Tonight I'm joined with all of our big brother, our coach, Dr. Dwayne Dwyer. You know, see he finally put that doctor in there. Congratulations on that, Coach.
Why did I have to get the Hebrew terminology, the Hebrew expression?
You got to get it from back here. You know what I
mean?
Yeah. But it's all love, man. And I'm doing well as well. It's been a busy, little trying week at some points, but we making it. We trying through. We got through one more week, man. But with that said, I'm just excited to be here. I know our brother Garfield said that he may be on his way, so when he comes in, we're gonna chat it up with him. So y'all missing him out there in the chat. Don't worry, he's coming in fashion. With that said. Amen. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into this, get this conversation started tonight. So what if success isn't about motivation? What if it isn't about building or what if it's about building a system that works? Even when you don't feel like it, and too many people chase down the hype. Very few build a structure. So today, we're going to be talking about how to build your success system. Not a goal, not a wish, but a repeatable framework that unlocks your greatness. Because greatness isn't random, it's engineered. So if success is vague, your system will be weak. So success without clarity creates confusion. All right? And clarity creates direction. Direction allows design. So with that said, let's get into it. Right. You ready for this, Coach?
Let's do it, man. I'm ready.
All right. So our first section tonight is going to be defining the mission. Define the mission, right? So with that, now listen, chat. This is one of those conversations where we really want to see y'all engaged in these questions in the comments. We know we got y'all. Y'all always got us in the comments, but for those who are still on their path, right? I want us to all try to get better. Because when I've read over this, I'm like, and this is just me being frank before I get into that first question. If I look back at the 20-year-old Tuami, I may be what success looked like. But at 40-year-old Tarami, is that still what success looks like? And we have to be honest with ourselves. And if not, you know, we have to be willing to go back over some of these things that maybe we've learned before, reapply it as if it's new, so we can go to where the Most High is taking us and reach these new goals. So with that said, the first question, what does success actually mean to you?
I think this is a really good question. And I would tell you, it took me some time to get to a better understanding. And in all of my searches, the first definition of success that actually made sense to me was the one that Earl Nightingale said, to where he defined success as a worthy pursuit of I'm sorry, a progressive pursuit, the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And that actually made sense because to me, it's like, sure, you may achieve some degree of success, but then it's like whether we're talking about a degree of success or overall success. But then I kind of refined that a little bit and I came to the understanding for me that success is understanding the thing that I was created to do, getting really good at the thing that I was creating to do, becoming that person that could be really good at the thing that I was created to do, and then serving the people that I was created to serve with that thing that I was created to do. So to me, that ultimately defines success.
I like it. Hey, let's definitely, I gotta shout out the Unk with the funk. Um, welcome to the stage, Unk. How you doing this evening, bro?
I'm doing very well, sir. Doing very well. How about you, gentlemen?
Doing well, doing well.
Good.
Yeah, man, all was good over here.
Great. Great to hear.
Yes, sir. So, and I know you know the topic we're talking about, building our success system. And so the first question, you came in right on time. The
Hmm.
first question of the night is, what does success actually mean to you?
Now, what it means to me. So I'll start by saying that again, what it means to me. So because I think that for everybody, it may be a little bit different, based off of your mindset, your perspective, how you view life, your upbringing, your um different things and experiences you may have went through in life. If you had asked me at, a bunch of years ago, I would have said success looks like getting a certain rank and making a certain amount of money. It would have been a lot of materialistic things, promotions, different things like that. That not saying that they're not important, or they don't have its place in your life, but that was just a small portion. Now when I look at it, it's just a very small portion of what success looks like for me. So I think for me, what success looks like is being able to move and have the ability to make decisions that help you achieve certain things that you want in life, right? So it's not necessarily I don't think it's necessarily a dollar amount. I think it's a combination of a bunch of different things, my social life, my relationships, are these things, you know what I'm saying? Getting, if I was to give them a grade, am I getting at least a B in these different things? So that's kind of what success is like in my finances. Am I like a B in my relationships? Am I a B? In my friendships with my network, with my wolf pack, with my coworkers, are they at least, tolerable, and are they good? So I guess success for me, I guess I'm reiterating again, is just a combination of a bunch of different things, man, all kind of working together, what I mean, for the good of you. And you're just at a place where um I don't know, I guess life kind of have meaning, if that makes sense. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of what success looks like.
No,
I'm
that
talking
makes,
about overall success.
yes, sir. And that makes perfect sense. And it's kind of like I was talking about right before you came out the back office, which is like when I look at 20-year-old Tawami, I think I might have gotten to that success place because I make a certain amount of money. I I own my own property, own my own car, paid off. You know what I mean? I'm not rich by any stretch of the measures, but I pulled myself out of that poverty that we came up in, you know, and that was success to me. That was, and now it has absolutely nothing to do with my house. And I know that sounds easy because I own the house now. So, you know, not paid off, you know, but I own my house, right? So it's easy to say owning a house is not a part of that success vision, you know, because can I achieve my version of success if if life took me backwards? If life took me back to where I came from, I don't even want to say backwards, but took me back to where I came from, can I still achieve that success? So for me, I narrowed the line as I got older. Uh, and I do like it, like, because as it sounds like with you on, as you got older, you know, it evolved and a lot of things added. That's why when you say a lot of different aspects, because it evolved, you add into the pot. But for me, I ended up narrowing the pot. I feel like I've been too busy chasing the uncatchable in some sense, right? And at this point, it was like I just want to get to the point to where life makes sense, and I can achieve the joy in which I can only find in the Most High, right? But the stress of trying to catch the unchaseable, and whatever that unchaseable is, you know, I think a lot of us are just chasing, and it's unchaseable because we can't even define what it is we're chasing sometimes. And I'm speaking for me for the most part, right? And so, I think that constant pursuit sometimes can hold us back or hold me back from walking into that unexplainable joy. You know, I feel like I've had moments in life to where I've gotten into the pocket, and then ended up back on the chase. So success to me is just I want life to make sense. I want to obtain that joy of the Most High, and I want to make sure that my family and my kids are safe and taken care of. That's success for me.
So, because I got to throw a little something in the water real quick. How do you know when you obtain it? Based upon everybody's definition of success, how do you know when you obtain it?
So for me specifically, I think with me is able to kind of grade it, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like in my finances, you know, am I operating at least a B average? You know what I'm saying? In my relationships, am I operating at a B average? You know, am I having more good days, way more good days than bad days? So, you know, when I'm on the show, you know, am I using a whole bunch of and filler words, stuff like that? You know, am I getting better? You know, am I growing? You know, I think it's, you know, I do think that in a sense, in one sense, you can measure success. And I think, I guess to your question, I don't know. I'm a pen right there. I'm gonna come back. I think I got some more to add to it though.
But I think that's the answer. I don't know. And that's why I put finding the joy of the Most High in there, because I don't think, and this is just me, and I'm going off of observing everyone that's chased down this success and people that I'm looking at, and I'm like, man, you have to get more. I know jokers that are in the army for like 30 something years with more rank than I would ever thought of, and they still chasing something. I'm like,
yeah, but see, all right, so let me butt in if that's okay.
no, go ahead.
But see, here's the thing about that. I used to think that too, and then I had a different perspective eventually. And I get that. I used to be like, man, why this guy 70 years old, he's still working. He a doctor, he's still working. Well, there are people who grew up wanting to be in the military. There are people who grew up wanting to be a doctor. So for them, it's not that they're chasing. They reached their level. They reached the sergeant major. They've reached the head doctor or the head surgeon, of whatever. But that's just genuinely what they love. So for them, it's not that they're not successful. And I don't think that for some of those people that they're chasing, I think for some of those people, they're just loving and passionate about what they do. But I do understand your perspective too when you talk about people who are just in the rat race, just chasing and missing out on life and don't have that happiness and don't have that joy and stuff like that, because their version of success is making sergeant major. So if it means that my relationship between my homeboys goes bad, if it means that, I don't get to raise my kids because I keep going through a bunch of divorces and having, a bunch of different baby mamas and stuff like this, you know what I'm saying? So I do think that, I do agree and understand your perspective, but I just wanted to add a different perspective on it too.
No, and I definitely understand that, because there is a difference between people who love what they do. But there are people who, and I've heard, and this is why I make this comment, because I've had these conversations, or heard these phrases from these same people, multiple times, where it's like, oh, no one is ever happy with what they got. Everybody wants more. Everybody's always in pursuit of more. All right? As if content is not a human attribute, And so I hear that a lot. So for me, I'd rather attain that joy and whatever that looks like than chase the tangible. Because can I have joy with what I make right now? I think I can. I'm pretty sure I can. Right? When I put my life into perspective, I don't have to say there's some people out here who don't know where their next meal is coming from, because I remember the look on my mama's face when we didn't eat at night. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm speaking from, I'm not saying that you're wrong, because I agree with what you're saying, and there are people who just genuinely love what they do, but when I see people who are just chasing it, they obtain what they're chasing and they're not happy with it. They want more. I got to get more. I got to get more. Like, I understand that you like what you do, but I got to get more. At some point, I got to have enough. At some point, at least for me, I don't want to forever chase. So that's why I answered there with I agreed with I don't know.
So I think you guys are unpacking why I added this piece to it, to ask this question, because it really makes us go back and look at our definition of success. Like, if I put success for me on something external to me, now it's dependent upon that thing. So whether I have it, whether, I go to work tomorrow and they give me a pink slip and say, hey, we no longer need your services, or you've reached your, whatever they call it in the Army now, RCP, it's time for you to retire, or whatever that looks like. If I put happiness external to me, well, I'm not saying happiness, success. If I put success external to me, now I've given the external the power over me, and now it's always dependent upon that. But if success is something that's defined within me and then expressed through me, and then people that have been assigned to me now benefit from that thing, then I can always see and measure whether or not I am actually achieving success. It's not something that has a finish line. It's something that is a progressive nature. And that's why I started off with the Earl Nightingale definition of success, and then progressed into my own. Because if I spend my life trying to come to a realization of what I was created to do, then become a master at doing that thing, and then serve the people that I was created to do that thing for, all of that is success. Understanding that's a degree of success. Becoming a master at that's another degree of success. Serving the people, well, that's the endless pursuit of itself that it continues to define success. And so that's why I say, like, we can put it on finances, we can put it on job, we can put it on all these other people that exist out there, but why doesn't it not start within us first? And if it doesn't start within us first, then there is no true metric to govern or understand what that success look like. Again, I like what you were saying previously about finding the joy in the Most High. That's a metric to me. That's a metric of success, right? Joy supersedes happiness. Happiness is a fleeting thing. But if I have joy, that means that it doesn't matter what it looks like on the outside. I still exist in that joy. And now I'm not moved by external circumstances.
I love that. I love that. Um, can we pull up before we go too far? Can we pull up Keys to Keys Realty Atlas Keys to Keys Realty comment? She says, I think if I had to sum it, every era changes, but the purpose evolves to increase in understanding, knowledge, and wisdom. And I think I get what you're saying. I agree. Purpose evolves because our understanding of it evolves. And so when that evolves and you dive into that purpose, knowledge and wisdom, I think is a byproduct of walking in your purpose. And because I believe knowledge and wisdom is different depending on, like, because I don't need every knowledge, everything that coach learned and understand. I don't need everything that Uncle learn and understand because I'm not walking in their purposes. There are some universal understandings that we need, and that is the whole duty of man, right? But outside of that, I'm gonna be honest. Like with me, my knowledge and wisdom, it has to be in the realm of what my calling, or what my purpose is. It can't be focused on nobody else's. So I like that. What say you, brothers?
I don't disagree. I mean, if any, like, I wouldn't say, sure, what we do throughout time change, but there's nothing new under the sun, right? So if we're doing it differently, we're really doing the same thing. We're just doing it in a different manner. Back in the days, you guys know when we were young, you wanted to go hang out, meet girls, whatever the case may be. You go to the mall, right? Now they just go online. Same thing. They're just doing it differently. There's nothing new under the sun. So sure, the era changes. But when we start looking at what I was called to do, now my understanding of that's the thing that I'm really getting a better understanding of. And throughout time, that thing evolves in my mind as it pertains to how I walk it out, how I do it, how I interact with people as it pertains to it. So now there is a thing within me that does not allow me to violate that thing, and that thing governs me. So I do like what she is saying here. But if I would just adjust anything, it would not so much as be the era, even though I understand what she is saying, that things change throughout generations and time and things of that nature. But still, it's the exact same thing. We're just doing it in a different manner.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to this.
Yes, sir. And can we bring up the next highlighted one? Yes, it's Maya. Welcome, Maya. She said, I've looked at success as being in a position to be able to help others without depleting myself. And even when I listen to this one, I'm thinking, like, so does that? And I can't speak because it's your vision of success. But when I hear it, I'm thinking to myself, is there a dollar amount in my mind that's attached to being able to help others without depleting myself? Or is it the knowledge of how to be a steward of what I have? But one day I sat down and asked myself, like, hey, why aren't you helping people like you want to help people? And I told, and yes, I know what insanity means, being crazy, because I started talking back to myself, and I'm like, well, because I don't make enough money. Well, yeah, I make enough money to help somebody. I don't make enough to help everybody, but am I a steward over what I have to where I can be able to help others? And that's how I look at it.
I
do like it.
I like that you went with the money, because I was thinking about the money piece, but then I also was thinking about the time and the wear and tear on your body when you are always trying to help other people. I don't know if Coach remember this or not, but I had told him about a story or something that happened. I was going through something. I was just depleted and stuff, and coming to find out what I was doing, I had a friend who was calling all the time, and all they were doing was just download and download and download. It was always about them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm wondering what's going on. I'm feeling a certain type of way, not emotionally or nothing like that, but it's like, man, what's going on? Coming to find out, this dude was just I was his dumping ground for all of his problems and stuff. So when we're talking about depleting ourselves and stuff like that, yes, there's a financial piece to it, but there's also the other portion of it when it comes to, Coach has, went through John Maxwell. He has some degrees. There's a lot of knowledge and information up there, and people know that. So they be like, oh yeah, let me call Coach and let me ask him about this. Let me call Coach. Let me text Coach. Let me hit Coach up. Right. So now Coach is spending all of this time, with other people, getting on other, bringing in other people's problems and stuff like that. So I like that piece of it too, because yes, success is being in a position to where you can help others without depleting yourself. Because I've been through that. I was in that phase where I thought I had, have some knowledge and some information, and people were using that, and I was allowing myself to be used, and I was depleting myself. Whereas I should have been, instead of having these 2 hour long conversations, I should have been cutting off. I should have been taking better care of myself and saying, hey, look, brother, I got it. But you know what? You need to book a session at some point, what I mean, with me or with somebody else, because that's not the position that I want to be in. And that's one of the ways that people deplete themselves, is by always trying to be there for other people's problems. So I like that.
You good? You good, Coach?
I'm good, man. There's so many ways. Like, okay, because she add the rest of it at the bottom as well. So when you guys get a chance, take a look at that. But I get it, and I'm a firm believer that when you put yourself in a position to help, and we really should put ourselves in positions to help others. That's really the thing that we're called to do. We're called to, if we don't believe that we're put here to help other people, I really question what you think life is all about.
Right.
But it requires you to have boundaries. And if you do not have boundaries now, and this is not directed at her, I'm sure she had boundaries, right? But if you do not have boundaries, I'm telling you, there are some people who will literally run you ragged. And just like Unc said, I'm with you, bro. Like, hey, look, I entertained the conversation for a while, but at some point, hey, man, you need to get on the calendar. You need to book an appointment, because right now I am devoting a lot of time, energy, and effort into you and you only. Not that I don't love you, not that I don't care about you, but there's some things that we probably need to talk about at a deeper level that you're just not willing to accept on this regular phone call that we have right now. But again, when you actually have, as they would say, some skin in the game, right? When you make a sacrifice for that level of growth that you're looking for, then it really opens up to you. Other than that, you're just going to be like, well, no, I don't see it that way. I see it this way. Okay, cool. And I'm not that person that's going to argue with your perspective.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. I think we can go down a rabbit hole if we pivot too much. But I think a lot of people don't really understand life. We got enough greedy people in the world. We got enough people we got enough people who help others just so they can post a video about it, or they can write it off on a text, or they can say, look, I'm such a philanthropist. They don't do it to actually help the people. They're exploiting certain people so that they can gain even more. But I'll leave that one right there. I'll lay that one down and leave it alone. But man, we 31 minutes into the intro question, so So I think we actually kind of answered my first section question on this one. That was my intro question, but so we're gonna skip down to the second one. And in defining what success looks like to us and what success means to us, my question is, while defining success, who benefits when I succeed? And it's kind of what we kind of led into a little bit already. So let's just dive into that.
It was part of my definition, right? So the people that are assigned to me, right? The people that are assigned to me to serve according to the thing that I was called to do, they will benefit. Now, will it be family members? Some of them. Will it be friends? Some of them. Will it be strangers? Some of them. But will some family members not benefit? True. Will some friends not benefit? Absolutely. Will some strangers never know what my name is? Absolutely. But you know what? I'm not called to them. So that's not something for me to worry about.
I agree. Also included in that circle is me. I benefit when I succeed. When I'm successful in whatever, then I benefit from it. One of the, I know we talk about materialistic, but when I succeed at X, Y, and Z, I book more appointments. I'm a better father. When I, read something, gain some knowledge, some information, when I succeed at whatever, like Coach said, my circle benefits. And then I think, again, like I said, I benefit, and I think indirectly, other people benefit, the outer circle, how I, if I'm successful in, where I was at 20 years old and wanting to fight every time somebody says something, to whereas now, I've learned how to control that anger and be in a place where I can have a difficult conversation and I can control myself and not want to lash out and attack and fight somebody. You know what I'm saying? So that right there, because there are some people who are not successful for that, and then they go around and they hurt other people, they shoot up schools and stuff like that. So indirectly other people are affected by certain people not being successful at being able to manage their behaviors and stuff like that. So I think I answered it. Yeah. So yeah, that's who benefits when I succeed. I benefit, and then Coach said the inner circle, and then I'm gonna go on the outside and think the outer circle and mankind in general and people I come across benefit when I succeed too.
I'm saying everything that y'all said and everyone I come in contact with. And here's why, because for me, my definition was joy, and the joy, right? That joy in the Most High, the unexplainable, right? That I feel like there's so much clarity when we walk in joy, when we live in it, and it allows me to treat people better, right? My fuse is not as easily lit, right? I'm a better friend, I'm a better father, I'm a better supervisor, I'm a better leader, I'm a better, spouse, whatever. I'm just better at who I am to people, and that alone allows the people that are around me to benefit. I think we've all either had or still have that friend or family member that's just never happy with anything. They just, oh my God, it's so taxing just to hear them open their mouth, because they're about to complain, and so you pre mad before they even start talking. You're like, here you go. But you're cool with them, so you're not finna walk away. You're not, but hey, how you doing, man? Let me tell you, I ain't doing good at all, and that's taxing on the people around you. So for me, my answer is definitely the people that I'm assigned to, the inner circle, the outer circle, but the people I come in contact with, the days that I make just by saying good morning, smiling at people, that can become infectious and cause people to have a better day. So that's how I want to get. Um, I just want to miss Lisa. I love her answer. She kind of hit it. She said, "Mate, children, and community." I like that answer. I was trying to see what y'all saying in the chats. But yeah, mate, children, and community. Those are to me. Those are the initial, the primary. These three are affected by your success or failure, by your happiness or your sadness, by your anger or your joy. That those three, I think, are core. Um, you got anything, gentlemen, before we move on?
No, I'm agreeing. Like that, those are the people that benefit more. They see more of you. Like I like what she says later. I think there's an inner circle and there's a community. The inner circle knows me more, so those who know me more see how I'm affected more. They experience how I'm affected more. But then, by the same token, they also get to reaping the rewards that I reap in as well. So I think that's the key. I think like I love what you're saying about joy, and I think sometimes it's almost like you've seen the TV show Paradise, right? You guys seen the TV show Paradise? Okay. Well, just give you a hint of it. Um, it's a place that they're living in, right? And for those who created it, they know the inner workings of the thing. But for those who are living in it, they may have known what happened to it or what happened prior to get them there. But for the younger kids, it's just their way of life. And I think sometimes when it comes to joy, we may not necessarily know initially when we're in joy, but then we're looking at the outside and we're seeing how some people are living life. And like you mentioned, the complaining and things of that nature. I think another thing is gossiping as well, right? You have people who just gossip and want to talk about this and want to talk about politics and want to talk about all the other things that are just it's like an endless pursuit of itself. The conversation is like you're talking about a thing that you can't do anything about, you can't benefit from it whatsoever. Like those people who live in that environment of those conversations, I do not believe that they experience joy. I believe they constantly go from like one debilitating moment to another. And they look for the dark sides of every conversation they have. Like it's like when you look out there and you see that actually happen, it's like, wait, I remember I used to do that too. And it's not that you're judging them, but you're assessing you. It's like, wait, I'm not God. I don't have a desire to God. I don't even want to talk about politics anymore. I'm not focusing on how much money. I'm not. Wait, all these things that keep people on the verge of depression, like you're not even focusing on those things. You're going to the store and you're looking for the name tag on the cashier so you can address them by name because you know it makes people feel good to hear their name, especially when they're dealing with hundreds of people in a day, and most of those people got bad attitudes. And you come through at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, like, hey, Tamika, y'all know Tamika and Tyrone, my two favorite go-to people. Hey, Tamika, how you doing today? How you know my name? It's on your shirt. Oh, I'm doing fine. How about you? Right. So I think that's the thing. Like joy is something that you realize that you're in it, but you never know when you walk through the gates of it.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely, I'm with that. She is becoming. What's up? What's up? Welcome. Good evening, sis. And I'm sorry, I just realized I didn't shout out the chat, but y'all know, charge it to my head. Uh, but y'all know I love every last one of y'all, and I'm glad to see you all. But if you are out there and you are watching and you are not in the chats, go ahead and get in the chats. We love to see y'all, to see your comments. I'll I'll see a comment or coach or uncle or highlight a comment that 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 we see, so we can give you a shout out and we can add you to the conversation. Let's move on to section 2, which is diagnose the real problem. I believe we blame time, we blame money, we blame opportunity, but usually the issue is one of three things. It's a lack of structure, lack of skill, or lack of discipline. Um, and so we have to get down to the bottom of who's to blame, who's the culprit. So with that said, it's from your experience, because I'm dealing with two great coaches, right? Um, so what habits are usually sabotaging growth that y'all see?
I'll be very transparent. Mine, one of the things that really sabotaged my growth was not being willing to obtain information. What I mean by that was not reading, not focusing, not spending time gaining knowledge, information, whether that was from the Bible, whether that was from, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, whether that was from Atomic Habits, whether that was from whatever, you know what I mean? I didn't like to read, and I still don't like to read. However, that's irrelevant to my purpose and what I need in order to grow. You know what I'm saying? So one of the habits, which is I think a lot of people suffer from, is the habitual or the habit of not consistently obtaining information that is going to lead to your growth.
So I was going to go in a direction, but then you mentioned information. So I'm going to steer clear of that one, and I'll come back to that one later. I'll start with habits. Like even when you look at this question, like some of us got some bad habits, right? When you look at what habits are usually sabotaging growth, your habits. We have some habits that sabotage the thing that we say we want to do, right? We have a mindset that sabotages the thing that we want to do. We have environments that sabotage the things that we want to do. We have, okay, now I come back to the whole information. We have a lack of understanding when it comes down to the things that we want to do. Like it's funny because we live in an information age, and I think that's key, right? But in all actuality, what we don't necessarily realize that just information alone is not going to change anything. That's the key. That's why people like me exist. That's why people like Unc exist, right? Information alone is not going to change anything. It's just going to make you aware that a change is available when you decide to do something about it. But wait, you still got the same mindset. You still got the same habits. You still got the same environment. So now I got the information, but when I go to action, oh, well, I can't do anything with it because this didn't work for me. Or, I don't have the time, or, it costs too much. So now your habits are showing up, right? And you guys make sure that you pay attention on Coach's Corner because I'm addressing some of these things, a lot of these things really on Coach's Corner on Tuesday, right? So a lot of your habits show up, and really those habits that show up in the midst of this new information that you get, it makes you look at yourself, and now it's going to fight against you. So when you decide you want to step outside of your comfort zone, your habits like, wait, we were comfortable where we were. Let's go back to doing that. I understand they are saying, oh, but you got to wake up at 4:00 every morning. Oh, but you got to do this different. Oh, you got to stop hanging. Oh, you got to stop. That's too much for me. That's too much. This is a lot, because that's what we like to say all the time. That's the first stage. We're going to put some type of title on it. It's a lot. That's another one of your habits. You talk too much about your own situation that's in the wrong direction of where you're trying to go. I think I just named about 5 of them, and I was just getting warmed up. So I'm gonna stop right there, Gaddy, because I might be taking some of your thunder.
Nah, you good, Coach. So, and so when I hear you talk, it goes right into the discipline tracker for me. Actually, with both of y'all said, that goes into the discipline because, and so I know I'm saying structure, lack of structure, skill, or discipline. I think it's the lack of discipline that causes all of these things. Like the habits that are holding me up is a discipline matter. Why can't I? If I know that these things are keeping me from getting to where I need to get to, and I'm talking about me, I'm not talking about nobody else, I'm talking about me, then why can't I put it down? Why am I so in love with this thing that is keeping me from the thing that I'm desiring, that I'm dreaming about, that I'm thinking about?
Because I'm comfortable in it. I've created a little, I nestled in real good. And just like you said, it's a discipline, right? But if you really go back and lean into the word discipline, what is discipline? It's a way of learning, right? So now when you start really, really get into it, well, hey, it goes a little step further. The word disciple comes from that as well. So now Who is you listening to? Who are you following? Whatever the case may be. And again, a lot of times what we do is we spend time following people who we don't know, right? We may see a snapshot of their results on social media, on TV, whatever that looks like. But then what we don't do is we get the thing that makes necessary changes. And I think we may get into that, so I don't want to go too far. But really, that's what it is. Discipline is a way of learning. And when you look at learning, learning now gets you into discipleship and so forth and so on. So now, when you want to do a thing, who are you a disciple to?
Coach, you opened up two rabbit holes at the same time. Like, but that who? But that's a thing. That's one of them places in the conversation where whether you on the panel or in the chat, you got to write that thing down and got to hold that for tomorrow and the next day, because who am I a disciple of? And you are, and let me tell you, it's a fool who says that he's not a disciple of no man, of no one. Because you're a disciple of somebody. The question is of who, you know. So I'm digging that, but I'm looking. I'm looking. I didn't go that deep, I guess, initially when I'm looking at it. I was looking at it as, you know, it's just me not wanting to move, but that is comfort, right? Where you started at. I'm comfortable, so I don't want to move. I don't want to change. I don't want to do something different. You know, I've survived this long, and if survival is your marker, then, you know, God and country. But for a lot of people, the marker is not just surviving, because how do I help others if I'm just merely surviving? You know, and I'm not saying you can't help anybody. Don't get me wrong. I remember when we lived. I remember living in Holland. My mother used to let, you know, when it started raining and snowing, some of those people used to come stay in the house. Got everybody in the house sick. And people coming in, they just sleeping on the floor, sleeping on the couch. And my mother's idea was we had a roof. They don't. We all was coughing the next day. we all got sick, but that person had somewhere to sleep. You know, they had some warmth. And so I always think back on that. Having nothing and giving something is a blessing in of itself. So anyway, I could run down that. I could run down that rabbit hole. Did you have any alibi? So the next question, and I did thank you for the correction, because I saw in my notes that man, y'all be on it. What skills, if mastered, would change our direction? And make it personal, would change your direction. What skills, if mastered?
See, I had one. You know what? Yeah, I'm still working on this. Listening. But listening is just the first step. I think a lot of times, you know, at my ripe old age of 50, I've been told a lot of information. I've been given a lot of nuggets. And sometimes I listened, sometimes I didn't. And, you know, like Coach saying, the application piece is important as well. But even before you get to the application piece, you got to be able to listen. You know, I think there's a lot of people, including myself, that as we grow up, we don't always listen to wise counsel. We don't always listen to that information that's going to be used and beneficial, that if we apply it, it'll help us grow and help us be better at whatever it is that, you know, we're doing. You know, so I think listening is a skill that, if mastered, would definitely change our direction. But again, I say that to say that there's an application piece on that too. And part of even before you get to the application is the discernment between the information that you got coming in. You know what I'm saying? So as I'm listening to Coach on Fridays, and I'm listening to Gaddy, and I'm listening to Roland, I'm listening to, the Hearts of Women, am I discerning, the information that's coming in? You know what I'm saying? And then the information that I get from Lisa Keys, you know what I'm saying? Am I able to apply this to my life to whereas I can get that growth and that outcome that I want in whatever it is that I'm doing? So again, I think the skill is listening, but again, the discernment of the information that you're listening to, and then the application of the information that you've seen applicable in your life.
Unc, I promise you, I just want to say, I promise you, I'm not saying anything against what you said, but I'd already have my mind made up. I ain't changing this out, dog.
Okay. Do it, brother.
Yeah, and again, listening is good. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of times, sometimes we need to shut up the conversation that's happening in our head, not so much what's coming out of our mouth, right? That conversation that's happening in your head is detrimental.
Absolutely.
But not just for me, I think this applies to everybody across the board. Being able to mirror mental syntax. That's the thing. Because really, going back to what I just said previously, that's what discipleship is all about. It's not just listening to see what they said or, whatever. It's observing what they do as it pertains to what they say. So now it's like, how do you teach a person? And I use this as an example, one of the biggest mysteries out there, right? How do you teach a person to practice faith? Right. Well, if you're give them the information on the faith, they're going to take that information and apply it to what they currently know, and they're going to fail time after time after time after time because they're trying to apply it based upon their current situation. So going back to what you said previously, I love the fact that you gave the examples, but a lot of times we take that information and try to apply it in my life right now with the same mindset, with the same habits, in the same environment, looking for a different outcome. It's not going to happen. I have to learn how to mirror mental syntax. Mirror neurons is what it actually equates to. So now getting to the point of mirroring what that person is talking about, mirroring how they talk about it, mirror how they practice it, so forth and so on. That's the key that I think that if we get to the point of learning how to not only practice that, but get to the point of mastering it, we can literally follow anyone and then get to the point of we may not necessarily perfect it to such a degree that they have perfected it, but we can action it to the point of making it practical and seeing a result based upon that.
I love it all. Mine was kind of similar to. I think it's it's kind of similar to where both y'all actually went. Uh, Sister Keys is asking. I think she's asking mental syntax. Can you dive a little bit for us after I go? Or okay. Mine was going to be discernment. On kind of said it a little bit, but he didn't go deeper into that. But discernment was mine because it wasn't just listening. I listened. I didn't discern properly. So I believe I was given a lot of good advice, and because I come from a place where everyone has advice and everyone has an opinion and everyone has a hustle and you can't trust everybody. So I just started. What I did is I shut everybody out early on, and it was like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to search for information. But the thing was, searching for information, I was being given the direction to go. A lot of people were telling me where to go find the right information. A lot of people was telling me what to do to get myself in those positions so I can get those information. But I was too worried that people were going to, oh, people just want me to do what they want me to do. People just, and that's an immature mindset that I had to grow out of. So I'm learning to discern the information and the spirit in which it's coming from, so that I can take wise counsel when I hear it. I think we all have our favorite listen, right? We have our favorite person that we listen to. We have our favorite person we go get advice from. But when you say I'm not going to take advice unless it comes from Unc or unless it comes from Coach. you're gonna miss some sound advice because it didn't come from your favorite speaker. And so we just got to be mindful of that. Even when we used to go to church every week, there was certain preachers that if they came to visit and came to preach, we turned our ears off because we knew they weren't going to deliver it like we wanted to hear it. They weren't going to use they weren't going to say it the right way. They weren't going to say it. You know what I mean? They were just going to say it. And guess what? One day I sat down and I said, let me listen to this preacher. And this was when I was young. I said, let me listen to this preacher. And when I took my notes on what this man was saying, it was some of the best stuff I've ever gotten concerning the Bible. But everybody else was zoning out because it wasn't hooping and hollering. It didn't come from their favorite person. And so be mindful of who you turn away from. Yes.
So, yeah. So to go back and touch on the mental syntax thing, right? So what we're talking about is synapses. And, you know, when we start talking about synapses, it really refers to how your brain fires, right? And, you know, how it fires and wires. Sometimes what we have to realize is that, you know, we can say a thing, and I go back to what I'm saying previously about the whole faith thing. You hear a person say something like faith without deed is dead. And it may have been practiced, it may have been rehearsed, and whatever the case may be. Why? Because that's how they did it in church. So what you end up doing is just copying what you see somebody else say or do in church. But going back to, for those of you who attend Bible study, the DIKW framework, right? Data by itself is just data until you process it, and then it turns into information. Information at that stage has to become information. Now must be what's the word I'm looking for? So I'm took my time. Data must be processed. Information must be analyzed. Right now, here's where we get into error, because meaning must be assigned between information and knowledge. This is where we go wrong, because a lot of times what we do is we allow others to assign meaning to the information that we have. So now when someone else assigns meaning to it for me, now I'm trying to adopt their meaning, and it means absolutely nothing to me because their meaning and my meaning are totally different. So I have to be the one to assign meaning to the thing, and then I have to look at the person that actually gave me the thing and see how they practice it, see how they put it into play, see how they actually, because go back to it, you know, belief creates thought, thought creates words, and words generally precursor to deeds. So now if you really want to understand what you really and truly believe, look at what you do. Now you can say whatever it is you want to say, but if your deeds don't line up with what it is that you're saying, then it's, you know, it's not congruent. So your deeds really reflect what you believe. So now I can say faith without, you know, works is dead. But at the end of the day, the soon, you know, get a little turbulence in the boat, you know, little storm come through, and like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, I'm not operating in faith. I'm now operating in fear. And make no mistake about it, you know, faith and fear. I mean, you believe something, whether it's faith, whether it's fear. Fear, you know, it's still there. So now if I really want to understand how to operate in faith, find a person that I know that operates in faith and mirror their mental syntax, because now I'm getting to the point where I better understand what that looks like. So what am I saying? How did they fire and wire their thought processes and their words in the midst of a turbulent event? How did they use it in the direction of where they really want to go and get there? So that's why I say it's like, I hate going here, Gaddy, but that's why I say certain people that talks about these things, they only talk about it and then they walk away from it, right? And leave you to figure it out for the next 6 days. Well, if we're not going any step further on what that looks like and how that looks, then I'm really not doing anything to you, but giving you a different level of awareness. And a lot of times you become more aware of what you're not capable of than what you're supposed to be capable of.
I love Lisa Key said, I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. No alignment. And they're with you in the church.
That's James Bond. That's James Bond right there.
Hey, good evening, Sister Nodella. Welcome to the convo. I really like this last question in this section. what common excuses do you usually make? What that and I've really I'm gonna jump out there. Because my common excuse is the dumbest thing in the world. Yeah. I'll do that one tomorrow. I'll do that one tomorrow. That's my common excuse. I'm tired. I'll do that one tomorrow. It's always tomorrow. Is it always tomorrow for everybody? You know, it's always like it's a literal statement. There's always tomorrow, but I don't know if I always so. But I'll start tomorrow. It's always been my excuse. I'll do that tomorrow. I'm tired. I got this going on. Let me do this instead. I got the kids here. I just do movie night a little early instead of. There's always something. There's always going to be a reason to stop. But that was mine. I'll do it tomorrow.
Mine is, well, I'll give you one is, well, one of mine is I don't need to do that. I don't have to do that. Right? I look over there, you know, I'm up getting dressed, open up my phone, and it's about, you know, maybe 7 o'clock, 7:30 or something. Actually, I'm probably already at work. Yeah, I was at work this morning. So I'm at work. I click, you know, before everybody is, and I click on TikTok and I see Rolling over there. You know what I mean? This joker retired. You know what I'm saying? We in similar situations, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't really got to be here right now. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, and I know that's his situation, but when you retired and stuff like that already, sometimes you complacency at times can sit in because you be like, all right, I'm good, and sometimes you be like, well, you know what? I ain't got to do that. I don't need to do that. For me, you know what I mean? That creeps in my head sometimes, those thoughts about, I don't need to do that, and I'm just like, you know what, you really don't need to. But that same thought process has also hindered me and stopped me from growing and achieving certain things in my life too. So yeah, I've missed out on some things because, you know, I don't really need to do that, or I ain't gotta do that. So that's what it is for me.
Mine's gonna sound a little different.
Uh-oh.
I'm with you. I'm with everybody to say I'll do it tomorrow. I think that's a common one that we use, right? I
Yeah.
use that sometimes as well. But the one I've been struggling with lately is, and it's different. I'm just gonna put it out there, and that one is I can't miss a day in the seat.
Mm.
I'll say it again. I can't miss a day in the seat. And I think I did it. We've been doing this now for about 3 years.
It's
I
been a
think
minute.
I missed. I think I missed one day in 3 years.
Mm.
And I told them I was gonna. I told them up front I wasn't gonna be there that particular day. One day in 3 years. Whether I'm traveling, I'm in a hotel room. I got the computer fired up. I'm sitting behind the computer. Video terrible now. Don't get me wrong, but I'm still sitting behind the computer. And I think to a certain degree, that's not good. In 3 years, this show should be able to stand on its own 2 feet, even if I'm not here. So now that's evidence of my bad. That's evidence of something else, but nonetheless, I have to be sitting in the seat. So that's one thing for me.
Man, that's deep. I have to, and that's real. That's real. I even think that, and let's be honest. I think sometimes we chase one success and we give up success in another area. I don't kind of hit it when you talk about chasing a rank and giving up your family. And it's not that I said because we always say, well, my family could have stayed and they'd have been taken care of. They had benefits, they had this and that and that, but they didn't have you. You know, especially for those of us who were in the early 2000s, they definitely didn't have us then. When we got back, we was in training to go back. We weren't really back, you know, but we chased these targets, and I'm thinking about it, and I don't want to attack having careers, because I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's not, but sometimes, you know, we attack the career so vigorously that we neglect the personal goals, the family goals, even the spiritual goals. Because and I'm listening to you, Coach, when you say I can't miss a day in the seat. I feel like I could have. There's moments where I'm like I could have done a lot better at other things. I kept saying I'm gonna pursue that when I retire. I want to do that. I could, and I'm not even just speaking just about me. Now, granted, I wanted to secure retirement. I wanted to secure the guaranteed check. I wanted to, I ain't broke enough yet to get out early. I was saying crazy stuff like that to myself, but what if my calling was to go off and do this? And I'm sitting up here with two retired brothers, so I'm not knocking the retired life. I'm at all, but how many of us are holding on to something because we know that it's secure, and giving up? Go ahead, I see.
Yeah, I'm struggling on that one, and here's why. I just want to be clear. I don't think you can look at the stages of life and have the same assessment. Like, if, let's just say, most of us, we got married in our earlier stages of life, we were still in survival mode. Well, if you're in survival mode, I mean, you're pretty much, and I hate to say it this way, you're literally working, you living check to check, right? So whatever that job needs you to do, that's what that job needs you to do. Unfortunately, we chose the Army, and therefore the Army, it wasn't just a 9 to 5. It was like maybe for a lot of us, it was like a 6 to 7, right? And unfortunately, that's what we had to do in that particular moment, for that change we made. That's just what the truth of the matter is. And when you're in that stage of your life, like, can I really look at it and say, for a young family that's living check to check in survival mode, can I really say that, well, that job took them away from their family? Sure, I could say that. But then by that same token, you're in survival mode. Any job is going to take you away from your family unless, the family has created something that they could pass on to that young man or that young woman, and they actually grow up in that thing and then assume that thing as a way of life. And then that becomes the extension of the family business. So a lot of the things that the younger generation are left to fend for, we used to be the younger generation, is because every young generation ends up starting over, right? So when you're starting over, I can't look at you and gauge you with the level of awareness I have in my 50s. You see what I'm saying? I want to think back to when I was in my 20s, and like, yeah, I was, I can't say what we used to say back in the Army, but I was knee deep in it because I had to, right? No one else was going to keep them lights on. No one else was going to keep them bills paid. No one else was going to put food on the table. Like, sure, she had a job, but she was still trying to figure it out as well. So I think when we look at certain things, there's a degree of responsibility that we have to assume, right? If I'm looking at my kids, there's a degree of responsibility I have to own up to, right? And then there's a degree of wise counseling that I have to do in regards to that. But I think, and I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying that we're at a different level of awareness now. Back then, I had no idea what you were talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? Back then, all I knew is, as a man, provide and protect. That's it. Do those two things, run you in the house, right? Food on the table, lights on, ain't nobody coming up in here unannounced. Those were my things. And if I did that, in my opinion, I'm good. Until I got older and I was like, man, I wasn't even scratching the surface.
Yeah, I agree, and I kind of, and that's why I kind of preference. I said, you know, I'm not knocking, and if it didn't seem secure, sincere, it was. I'm not knocking careers. I'm not knocking, you know, sticking around, getting that retirement. I'm not knocking it at all. But what what if the thing that I want, I'm holding off for the career? Like, and I do get you. Like my level of awareness when I first got married was provide and protect. That was my level of awareness. Right. There were moments too to where I thought. Now, granted, you know, the military is not to blame for anything that's taking place in my family. So I'm not gonna blame the military. But if that was my story, I do know people that was given that ultimatum, you know, by their family, and I know I saw how hard it was for them to say, like, I can secure a future for us going forward. I can secure this. I can secure this. And the spouse is like, yeah, but you know, now you got to gauge your own life. But if the family success is the thing that was important, can I build a career doing something else with more availability? Maybe or maybe not. You know what I mean? But you gotta answer that question. But if that answer is yes, if that answer, because and this is just to want me. I'm a firm believer that if the family is the thing that is about to be sacrificed, and I love this family, it is me and the family willing to take a slight pay cut. You might have to, you know. And I know some people are like, no, I'm not taking that pay cut. I get that, but what's important to you? And for me, that's the question that I'm asking. Like, what? And that's why that first segment was so important. What does success look like to you? Because that measures what's important. That measures what I'm chasing. You know. What say you brothers before we move on?
Well, I just wanted to say I'm not defending careers either.
Oh yeah, yes, sir. Yes.
That's why I said the family passed something on for you to grow up in. But if they didn't, now you don't have a choice but to go get a career.
Right. You're right. Man, oh, time is moving on us. These conversations be getting good, bro. Especially with you brothers, man. Let's move on into the next session. Section 3, build the framework. Man, this is where these brothers going to thrive at right here. I believe a success system has 4 major cores, right? You have clarity, the mission, your daily non-negotiables, your skill development, and your accountability. All 4 of these are important in building our framework. We get into clarity. What are our non-negotiables? We know where we're going. We got our foundation built. We know what we have to do. We know what needs to get done today. We develop the skills to do it and to continue. And sometimes those non-negotiables are part of our skill building and skill development and accountability. I think it's something that a lot of people run away from in all aspects of life, and relationship and business and careers. A lot of us run from that accountability piece. But with that said, my first question, there's a quote, William James. He says, motivation is emotional, systems are mechanical. Do you agree with this statement, and why? Why do you agree or why do you not?
I don't I would say I don't necessarily understand what you mean by the mechanical piece in this quote. So I'll just stick to the motivation. The motivation is emotional. I think there's some truth to that. I think that, a commercial comes on, and we're like, hey, there's a fitness commercial come on, or a Pilates commercial or a commercial for a piece of equipment, and we'll say, you know what, I'm going out there and I'm gonna start working out, right? Or we'll see a commercial for life insurance, and then we get motivated. We go out there and start looking at life insurance. So whatever the thing may be, and we're inspired by in that moment, which in a sense is kind of like motivation. So you get that motivation, but once that motivation is gone, in some cases, people stop doing whatever that thing is they were doing because the motivation is no longer there. That feeling is not there anymore. And here we are, we're February the 20th. We are a month and 20 days into this year. And there was a lot of people who were motivated on December the 31st and October the 31st of last year, that when the new year hit, I'm motivated. I'm gonna eat all I can. I'm not hitting on nobody. I'm just saying this is an easy one to make reference to. I'm gonna do all of this. I'm gonna do all of this stuff. I'm gonna eat what I can for Valentine. I mean for Thanksgiving. Pig off for Christmas. But when January 1st hit, man, I'm gonna be the first thing out there walking and getting back in shape and doing what I want to do. And then, sometimes those things fall off because the motivation is no longer there. So to the first piece, motivational is emotional. I would say in many cases, motivational is emotional. As far as the systems are mechanical, I'm going to pause on that one. Not going to speak on that. Kind of want to understand a little bit more what that means. So that's my 2 cents for right now.
When I was in the Army, I was I kind of controlled airspace, right, for BCT. And so we did it based upon the system called the FATAS, and we had to put this information in it, and it gave us what we would call battlefield geometry. And battlefield geometry is almost like imaginary lines drawn across the battlefield. And so you can't shoot across boundary lines. If I had aerial boundaries, you couldn't shoot into them once I turned them on, things of that nature. And so we had to put this data in it that we call parameters. Once we placed the parameters in it, it would work automatically. So now when data came in from the field, it would process it and show it on the screen and show me what units were available. That's how it worked. That's what mechanical is. Mechanical is the parameter, the principles. In human beings, it's like the energy, the things that govern your way to automatic responses, right? Yeah, thanks, Garfield. FATAS, Advanced Field Artillery Tactical Data System. So it's the way that governs your automatic responses. So now, when you look at these two, motivation being rooted in how I feel in that particular moment, to where mechanics are rooted into the thing that governs what I actually do, how I respond to adversity, and it's an automatic response. It's really, if we're being, and I'm not trying to be funny, it's really God's automation when it comes down to your being. He gives you principles, you take those principles, you digest those principles, you make them second nature. And then with that being said, now you have an automatic response to adversity. You have an automatic response to the presence of sin, so forth and so on. So that's mechanical in nature. So now when we look at it now, even though this thing may motivate me, I might be in more pursuit of something that inspires me because that's more long-term, right? And then now the mechanics around the inspiration, now, sure, it may motivate me a little bit, but this thing right here keeps the fire going. It's like motivation to me is like sugar and inspiration is like caffeine, right? And if they both line up, they work well together. But if they don't, it's like, it just doesn't. So you will run out a lot of times when it comes down to motivation because it's fleeting, just like that. But now when I take the thing that I'm inspired and I build a system around it, right? So now when I start feeling a particular type of way, I know what to do. When I start doing this, I'm responding in this way. So now the parameters, the principles and things of that nature, it governs my existence. And now I know how to respond to it. I know how to respond to everything when it comes down to it.
So are these systems, or do they evolve? Do they change? are they kind of set in stone, or do they kind of adjust, or as we, journey through life?
I don't think there's a cookie cut system.
Right.
Okay.
I think they're engineered to you where you're going, to what
So principles don't change.
Principles don't change.
Principles don't change. But if I am using a parameter, okay, I go back to my FATAS example, right? When we're in a different battle space, the parameters that I use are going to change because it has to reflect the battle space. If
Okay.
if I'm in the desert, I don't have to worry about houses and things of that nature. And if I'm in an urban environment, it's totally different. So those things change according to the environment, but principles don't change at all.
Okay.
I'm loving it. I don't want this conversation to 8:30 getting too close. So I'm not gonna have a question on or answer on these next ones, just because I want to get to some tangibles. If we can join these next two questions together, so we can show one and show the other, which is the next one is, how should we track progress? All right. How should we track our progress? And then who should hold me accountable? If we can we attack them together? All right.
So I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna go with the easy one. How we should track progress. It's definitely gonna come down to whatever it is that we're tracking. But for some things, it may be as easy as pen and paper or a spreadsheet or something like that. If I'm tracking my finances, I may use an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Doc. I mean, a Google spreadsheet or something like that to track it, right? And then who should hold me accountable? It should be me and or the goal. You know what I mean? And I know some people may like, well, how can an inanimate object hold you accountable? Where it's like, if I put this thing down and I say I'm going to hold myself accountable for it, I guess in a sense, the way I'm looking at it, both things can kind of hold you accountable. But I think it starts at the end of the day with you. You know what I mean? It's your goal, it's your thing that you want to achieve, it's your whatever it is that you're doing. Whether I'm going to say with finances for this. So for finances, whatever, just some way to track it to show that you are making progress on what it is. Whether you're trying to, pay off your student loans, where you're trying to save some money, where you're trying to invest and stuff like that. The only way you know if you're on track is if you have something written down or there's something visible that you can see and refer to show your progress, right? And then who should hold me accountable? First of all, again, like I said, it should be you. Now, if you want to add somebody in there, that's fine. However, the ultimate responsibility still lies within you. You know what I'm saying? So if I call Gaddy this afternoon, I'm like, hey, look, man, I'm trying to get back into fitness. And I need you to call me at 5 o'clock in the morning to make sure that I get up. Right. So, but at the end of the day, I can't hold him accountable if I don't get up or if he don't call me at 5 o'clock. Because at the end of the day, that's still my goal. That's still what I need to track. I still have to be the one who's ultimately responsible for the things in my life and my progress on whether or not I achieve my goal or not. So again, how should we track progress? It depends on whatever the thing is. But again, I think for finances or something like that, you may want to put something tangible down, like a spreadsheet or something. Who hold me accountable? You hold yourself accountable.
Can I just take what you said and adjust it just a little? Yeah, just a little.
Absolutely.
Because I like what you said. You said, I am ultimately responsible. And you are 100% right there. And I like when you said, I can't, I have Gaddy, he can call me and he can wake me up, but I'm ultimately responsible. You're right. Gaddy was your accountability partner because he had to get up in order to call you.
Mm-hmm.
So that takes me into my version of it. Who should hold me accountable? Somebody who is a stakeholder, somebody who is in the thing with me. Now, let's go back to the first part of the question. Bring it up again so I can see it, please. Because I think this is the key. How do I track progress systematically? I don't care how you do it, just do it systematically. If you have a system that tracks progress, now you can actually track progress. But what a lot of us, we have these fleeting systems, right? We go look in the mirror and see how we look, you know. You know how we do. It's not an accountability process, man. That's it, right. That's your feel good account. No, you probably ate a piece of cake and you may feel bloated just because you had one slice of cake, and then you go look in the mirror like, oh my gosh, I can't. So that's my point. So we track progress systematically using whatever system you choose to use, as long as it's a viable system, and get an accountability partner that is a stakeholder. That means that that person has some type of buy-in to the process that you're working on, whether they're partnered with you, whether they go in the same direction that you're going, whatever that looks like. And I think that's the key.
I also think that sometimes your accountability partner may need to be on your payroll. I'm just saying. Check in with your coach, or check in with your therapist every couple of months or something like that. That's what I meant by that. But something else, the systems. I think, to Coach's point about the systems, and I will speak for myself too. And I think a lot of people do not know how to apply or figure out those systems. Like, what somebody said, walk in faith or live in faith or something like that. So what's the system that I need to incorporate in my life that allows me to walk in that faith? If I'm trying to be a better person, if I'm trying to, not interrupt people, I think a lot of people, and again, including myself in certain areas, especially in the past, I didn't know how to come up with the system to track whatever it is that I may have been trying to grow in. You know what I'm saying? And I think, to your point, that may be why it's important to have that stakeholder in there to hold you accountable. Because if I'm working on whatever, I may not see it, but coach can see it, or Gaddy can see it, or again, coach may see it because every time we meet, I'm paying him money for him to coach me, and we meet every 2 weeks and he's giving me homework. I need to be able to have some sort of data to bring back to the table. So I like all of that stuff. And it was just something else I just kind of wanted to add. And I think for some people, it's kind of challenging or difficult to find a system or the process and being able to track it, because they just don't understand that I want to get better, but I don't know how to track that.
Yeah, I think in a world that promotes individuality, we got to be careful. Me, myself, and I. There's some things about you that you can't see. There's some things that go on in your life that you are totally blind about. That's why an accountability partner is necessary. And I'm telling you, like, you'll grow ish on your own accord. You'll gain some traction, but is it really the traction that you want? Right. And I don't mean for this to sound like my final thoughts. I'm just being honest here. Is it really the traction that you want? Imagine what you could actually do if you had somebody in your corner that was actually honest enough with you to tell you the thing that the average person will not tell you because they just don't want to upset you. They don't want you to feel bad about the truth.
I said it like this, like I don't think well, both I think two people can be right in their own rights. Like I like where both of you are at, because I think y'all on the same spectrum of two sides of the same spectrum where you at, because all of it is true. But I think back on my journey trying to get my health back right. I don't know what happened when I moved from active duty into the guard. Like I hit actually my last year on active duty, it just got bad. And then that journey to get back just felt so grueling. And I'm like, because I used to be I was a gym junkie before, and I fell off at a moment, got injury after injury, and then it was like, man, this road back is just was frustrating. And so I started going out, and I was like, I just got to mentally get past, because the pain that I ain't felt that pain since I first started working out, and that was many years ago. So I was like, man, I ain't used to these kind of pains. Um, but when I really kicked into gear, one of my homegirls, we were PFCs together. No, we was she was a PFC. I think I was a corporate, whatever. Um, but this was when I first got to Fort Hood. We were soldiers at the same time, and she started working at my job as a civilian, and she was in the gym. I was like, man, when did you go to the gym? Because she I don't know when she goes whenever. I think she's still going early, but I was like, man, I'm going early in the morning, and we started meeting together. Man, I hated getting up at 4:30, and I was, just so I can get to the gym on time, just so I can. This is kind of what you were saying. For her, she adjusted her gym schedule to show up when I showed up, and we started working out together, and then we started to the point to where it was like, man, I gotta get up. That alarm would go off, and I wanted to roll over and get that extra 20 minutes. I'm like, I got time. But in my head, I'm like, man, she at the gym. I got to be there because she only working out this early because I needed that accountability part. She was somebody I knew that was in the gym. We were cool. I knew her, and just that desire not to let someone down held me accountable. And it made it easier for me to get back into the shape to where now that our schedules are not the same, I still make it to the gym and I still work out. So, but I still had to do the work. So I do agree, but that accountability partner helps me stay accountable to me. Knowing that person will kind of like fits in what our coach said, like knowing that person woke up to wake me up, how dare I get back, stay in the bed, It did something else. Oh man. So listen, I'm over here trying to decide because I'm going to give us one more question before we go into our final thoughts. But I like all these questions, but I'm trying to decide which one. And so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read all three from the last section, and I'm gonna let y'all choose because you brothers are geniuses. And so I know y'all gonna hit it on the head. So the section 4 is unlocking your greatness, right? Identity shift. I believe you don't achieve greatness. You decide to operate as someone great. It's a choice. So there are 3 questions, and y'all can choose which one to hit. First one is, what does it look like to adapt and refine? What does it look like to adapt and refine? The second one is, how do I transition to operate from fear to purpose? How do I transition to operate from fear to purpose? And the last one is, what should the highest version of me look like today?
I'll go. I'm gonna go with the first one. What does it look like to adapt and refine? Like Coach mentioned, for X amount of years, 2-3 years or so, there's been an opportunity to gain information on Tuesday nights, on Friday nights, on Saturday mornings, on Sunday. What it looks like to adapt and refine is to take information, to adapt the knowledge that you've learned, that you've acquired for 3 years on Hearts of Men, on this Empowering Perspective YouTube channel. The information that you have, you've adapted it, and then you've applied some of these things to your life, and then now you've adjusted or you've refined certain areas of your life. You've been on here for 3 years and you've learned about mindset. Have you taken that mindset that you've learned about and the information that you've learned about mindset to refine your path and your journey that you're going through in life. So for me, what does it look like to adapt and refine? It looks like gathering information. I'm not speaking about the application, all of that stuff like that, all of that stuff too, yes. But taking the information that you've learned on this platform for 3 years that you've been invested in, and then let those things refine your life to a better pace. Now, this is just one, but I'm just want to speak on just this one place as an example of adapting and refining.
Can I do all three?
Ooh, bam, let's do it. Bonus, folks.
I like where you're at with that. I'm with you. I'm a make the first one simple. What does it look like to adapt and refine? Leave the familiar. Go back and look at what God told Abraham to do. He needed to leave everything behind so he can take him to a place that he would show him. He did not know where he was going. He just knew that he had to leave it because he was told to leave. Are you willing to leave what you know right now and move into something? Let's go to number 2. Move into something that might scares you. As the old folks used to say, scared of bejesus out of you, right? It might even make you fearful. But here's the funny part about it. Operating from fear to purpose is a unique one because a lot of times we believe that operating in faith means that we're minus of fear. That's not a true statement, right? Operating in faith means that even though I might be fearful, I don't allow that to stop me from moving forward. So I'm still trusting in the Most High for a hopeful outcome in the direction which he promised. Even though I might be fearful, go back and look at what the scripture says. Lord, if that is you, bid me to come. He needed a little reassurance. Bid me to come. If that's you, bid me to come. That's him looking for some reassurance, right? Well, he already told you it's him. How much more reassurance do you need, right? So understanding that having a degree of fear makes you human, allowing that fear to make you stagnant makes you comfortable. That's the key. So are you willing to push outside of that comfort zone and move into the highest version of yourself and understand what that looks like today? The highest version of yourself recognizes that it does not look like what it did yesterday. I'm in a different place. I feel different. I'm seeing things differently. I'm responding to things differently. And I have an expectation for tomorrow to be even more different. So now I'm not complacent in this new space. I am now looking to push outside of this comfort zone. So now I'm like a frog leaping from lily pad to lily pad. I'm going from comfort zone to comfort zone to comfort zone. And I'm excited in doing so because I'm excited what he is going to show me every day.
Didn't I tell y'all what these brothers is going to do to this one? That's why I couldn't skip it, man. I couldn't skip this, bro. I'm just gonna touch this last one because y'all knocked it out the park. What should the highest version of me look like today? The first thing is understanding that the highest version of myself is not the fact that I have become or that I have attained, right? The highest version of myself is that I have embraced learning. I have embraced adapting. I have embraced being uncomfortable. I have embraced allowing whatever the Most High brings about to be what it is, to learn from it, to grow from it. And what I mean by embrace it, like life happens. I can't get angry every time life happens and quit. I have to embrace it, learn what I need to learn from it, adjust what I need to adjust from it. If it causes me to go back and have to redo some things, then it must have been something I had to learn from there. So go back and redo it because this thing came up and destroyed it, or messed it up or shifted, and I have to now put it back where it needs to be so I can continue to move forward. Whatever happens, to me, the highest version of myself is not that I have attained or have become, it's that I have embraced the journey on my way to attain. Because we're not going to attain until the end. Let's call a spade, you know. But I've embraced the journey and embraced the fact that some things are just going to happen. There are some uncontrollables. So why try to control them? Embrace it. Thank you, Father. Thank you for these opportunities to learn. Thank you for this opportunity to grow. It's not that I have stopped growing. The highest version of myself is not the man that stopped growing. It's the man that embraced the process of growth. Man, listen, I appreciate all of y'all for hanging there with us. I'm sorry for keeping y'all too long. If y'all saw my notes, and I know they're looking at my notes and the adjustments they had to make, so my apologies. I had a total of like 6 sections set up, and so I started deleting some, and I forgot to change some. So y'all see that in there. It was so much more that I wanted to bring, but I'm glad that y'all hung in there with us. I'm glad that these brothers brought what they brought to the fight, because y'all came in swinging. There's some heavyweights right here. But with that said, even though we are 12 minutes past our normal time, it is still our bittersweet moment where we go to our final thought.
Tonight's show is entitled How to Build Your Success System. Don't miss out on your own greatness. I think this is an opportunity to me to give a plug, right? And this plug is to therapists and to coaches. Not too long ago, within the last 30 minutes or so ago, Coach had talked about, paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing. Sometimes, we don't necessarily see everything. We don't necessarily see us. We don't necessarily see all of the stuff about us. We may not necessarily see, all of our shortcomings and where we may need to grow or something like that. But having that accountability partner, having that person, having a mentor, having a therapist if you need it, having a coach if you need it, having someone either on the payroll or somebody maybe not on the payroll who you can, who is a trusted accountability partner. I don't know who that person is for you, but I think one of the ways that you build that success system is to have that other person, a different perspective, an accountability partner, that person in your life. Because I mentioned earlier, for whatever reasons, sometimes just not listening and then not applying or just blowing people off, I missed out on certain things. I missed out on certain greatness in my life in certain areas because I didn't listen. And I think some of those things could be attributed to not having a successful system for whatever that piece is. So again, I say that, in order to have that successful system, I think one of the things that you may need to invest in, if you're not already, is some sort of coach or therapist or mentorship or something like that, to have as an accountability partner. And that's my final thought for this evening.
I greatly appreciate this conversation. I want to start off by reminding everybody what my definition of success is. I'm not asking you to take my definition and make it your own. It's just mine. Remember, I started with Earl Nightingale's definition of success. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And then I later discovered my definition, which I still hold true to this day. Discovering who I was created to be, mastering the skills that I need to master as being that person, and then serve the people that were assigned to me. And I think that's it. I think everybody who's hearing this, I think you were created to be great in your own right. Everybody wasn't created to do the exact same thing. That's how we get to the point where we serve another. If we do not get to the point of realizing who we were created to be, then how do I know when I ever achieve the degree of success or achieve my degree of success? If my success is rooted in anything external to me, whether it's in my job, whether it's in my title, whether it's in, I don't know, whatever else out there, money, finance, or whatever. If that's what means to be success, if that's what success means to me, then it's not going to be long before I achieve a level of it, and then it's going to go away. Simply because my whole being is rooted in that thing. Root yourself in the Most High, right? Go on a journey to realize who He said, who He created you to be. What does it mean to be, created in His image after His likeness, right? What does it mean that His Spirit is in you? Right? How do you get to the point of expressing it? How do you become the vessel that expresses the true identity of who He is, and then serve the people through what He called you to do? I think that's really what it's all about. So yes, I do believe that all of us have blind spots. All of us have baggage that we packed away and put up in the corner, have not unpacked in years, and we just really think that it's not going to reveal its ugly head. No, that's not true. It will at its least opportune time. So that's the thing. We have to come to a realization in our life. We got to get to the point to where we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. When is enough enough? When do you want to stop doing the roller coaster thing? Right. So that's kind of like what I want to leave you with as we depart you this evening. Come up with your definition of success, right? And then work your behind off to fulfill that definition. And that's my final thought.
Man, I love this conversation, and I'm hoping that it helped someone. It had definitely helped me. Even listening to my brothers, these coaches, it continued to help me even from the studying and building phase. But when we say how to build your success system, don't miss out on your greatness. Listen, I've learned through this process that success is not an event. It is a system, right? Got clarity, ownership, structure, discipline, uh, reflection, So work on it, build the system, refine the system, and watch your greatness unlock. It's that simple to me. Using all the information you've learned, like Unc said, not just tonight, but these last 3 years. Some of y'all been with us since we started. And I think it's longer than 3 years, Coach. Are you over there listening? If I'm thinking back, on even when I got on there, I thought it was longer than 3 years. But 3 years, a lot of information, a lot of great conversations. Go back into the Rolodex of episodes and look and watch your greatness unlock. So if this hit you, do me a couple of favors. Share it, and then if it challenges you, sit with it and begin to start this process. Begin to build. Decide today if you're serious. If you say yes, I'm serious about it. Why are we waiting? Why not start building tonight? Why not start building in the morning tonight? We say in the morning, but tonight we can start making a plan of what we're gonna do. I'm gonna build my vision board. I'm gonna build this. I'm gonna the things that the preparation stage while it's fresh in your mind. All right, and then we'll start moving together. We'll start progressing. We'll start growing because greatness, it ain't waiting on us. All right, it just requires our structure. So let's build. Let's go. That's all I got for tonight. Listen, I am so grateful to be a part of this episode. I feel like I'm a part of a shift. Yes, and please don't forget to join us in the morning, as Sister Krista said, for the Hearts of Women. She put up there what the topic was, but yes, let's lock in. I don't believe our success is going to stop tonight. It's going to keep going tomorrow, keep going on Sunday. Yes, and intentional relationship by design. I like this. So let's continue to grow. Let's continue to success because it's not our relationship a part of our success journey.
Oh, just don't forget, it's not just the Hearts of Women. It's us as well.
What is the Hearts of Women show?
Yeah, it's the Hearts of Women show, but we on it. We on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we did agree to that last month. So here we go.
Also,
Yeah, I'm excited.
if you haven't registered yet, scan the QR code. Register April 11th. Paint the purpose. Think you're going to enjoy it.
And then Sunday on Sister Lisa
Yep.
as well. So Sunday, join us on TikTok. 10:30. I'll be trying to remember y'all time. 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, 10:30
Right.
Central Time. But we're gonna be there. Yeah, he said, yes, you did agree. You're right, I did. But yeah, we're gonna be there. We're gonna be live. These conversations continue, and I love every one of them. So I'm excited. Are there any alibis before we close out, brothers? Anything I missed? So as they used to say, if all hearts and minds are clear, listen, we see you in the next one. We love you and we appreciate you. Thank you.